Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden, the stunning, amazing gentleman right next to me. His name is Tim, and this is the Second Legacy, and thank you for stopping by. Well, it turns out the beautiful people of the Second Legacy, Chucky Schumer found a microphone, and what's he do? He brings forward a Senate floor vote plan to bring assault weapons bans, universal background checks, Ethan's Law, and so much more, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We would love to have you help the channel grow with us. All right, Tim. I want to ask how you're doing, but I know you're cranky pants on this one.
Yeah, we got to go through this every couple of years. Every year, every couple of years. They feel that they have something to achieve by doing this, and so they'll run out there and say, we need to vote on assault weapons.
Yeah, but they actually did it, though, this time. Well, that's what's different.
He's in the process of doing it in a roundabout way, and I think we know why he's doing it, but we'll get into that momentarily.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get into that for sure. But at the high level, this is a little different because they're actually scheduling this vote. So without too much of a setup, Dr. Button Pusher, are you alive? You functioning? You well?
We will venture to circle back with all of you on that after the briefing.
Okay. Brought Saki out for me. Okay. We'll circle back. It's okay. Well, with that, and everyone's present and accounted for, let's get to some freedom. Let's play clip number 1.
The assault weapons ban. Madam President, later this week, I will join my Democratic colleagues here on the floor to ask unanimous consent to pass the assault weapons ban. I will come to the floor to try and pass the assault weapons ban because right now, the scourge of gun violence in America is a national crisis. It wasn't always this way, Madam President. After I led passage of the Brady Law and the assault weapons ban 30 years ago, America saw a significant decrease in mass shootings and gun deaths.
Look, lies.
Lies, and I don't like lies, Tim. Lies are an affront to the intelligence of these amazing patriots of this amazing land. I don't like this man. I don't like him, I say.
Yeah.
He's not great.
So just to start at the rear of that video clip, him talking about how successful the assault weapons ban of 1994 to 2004 at sunset after 10 years, how effective it was. The government's own study immediately after its sunset, after the bill went away, their own study said it didn't do anything measurable to thwart crime of any type. They couldn't find any evidence it did anything. And then years later, some other group, not government, just sprung up and said, oh, we've done a study and boy, it changed the world. We banned these assault weapons and crime went away. It was just peace and cats and dogs were, sleeping together in the same doghouse. It was just everybody was singing Kumbaya. It was just amazing. And then the evil Republicans let it sunset in 2004, and then all of a sudden the world just came unhinged. But this is all a fallacy. It's all a lie.
100%.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring all the receipts too.
Oh, yeah.
Wait until the next segment. We've got all the receipts because we are going in hard. If they're going to call votes on this, let battle be joined. And with that said, let's get into the second part of this clip, which is just as propagandistic.
As of today, there have been more mass shootings than days in the year 2023. Let me say that again, Madam President. As of today, there have been more mass shootings than days in 2023. And the American people are tired of fearing for their lives, their children's lives, their friends' lives, every time people leave the house.
I love Tim. I absolutely love it. And this is what I need in my leaders. I need them to tell me how tired we, the American people, are from his ivory tower.
I know, right?
It's just so tiring, dude. It's so gross.
So here's, and we've said this before, and Dr. Button Pusher, I just threw a graphic up in text that we can use here. And this goes to something that we've said in the past, and it's absolutely the truth. And this is something that they will not tell you. So since the mid-90s, since the early 90s, violent crime has trended down, consistently down. It might level off, a little bit of a peak, but it continues to trend down over decades. And long after the assault weapons ban expired, you can't tie this constant downward trend of violence. You can't tie that to any gun control legislation whatsoever. Matter of fact, during this entire time that it's been going down steadily, the number of guns being sold has increased significantly, way outpacing everything. So the more guns seems to indicate that there's less crime. I think Dr. John Lott wrote something about that. More guns,
Yes,
less crime,
correct.
something about that, right? So anyway, and so this graph I want to show you guys is really interesting because the public perception is that, oh my gosh, there are mass shootings everywhere, keeping in mind that gang violence is a mass shooting to them. They just go down anything
Correct.
they can bring in.
Drive-bys are
Right.
drive-bys are a mass shooting.
They're just basically classifying every shooting now as a mass shooting. And so people have got this notion in their heads that we are just under imminent death threats of AR-15s hiding behind bushes because there's no criminal attached to them. It's just the guns, right? It's the guns, people. And they're going to jump out and get you. But look at this. So you can see the bottom line, the orange line, is the number of violent crime incidents occurring throughout the years. Okay. Trending downwards. The blue line shows you that this is what the public perception of crime is. And where does the public get this perception of violent crime? The media and politicians.
Correct.
Right?
And
so the media is telling you you're about to be killed. The politicians are fear-mongering, saying you have to ban these assault weapons. And it's all a fallacy. Matter of fact, what they won't talk about are handguns, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So the perception is way up there. People, like 80% of people think we have this massive violent crime problem in the United States. But the reality is it's been trending down and continues to trend down. While gun sales skyrocket.
While gun sales are skyrocketing. And it's also important to note as a sub point to that, currently in the year that we are sitting in, 2023, according to the exact same manipulated places that he's quoting, Gun Violence Archive, we are down 20% in homicides and suicides year over year. We are at 2019 levels. It's 2023. So the only thing that rose was during that little situation that we had, and we're back to the mean. Isn't it weird how as the numbers are declining, they're amping up the pressure on saying we need more gun control, almost like their impetus and their opportunity is fading and waning. Isn't that weird, Tim?
That's odd. Certainly seems to be the case, doesn't it? It's this panic, and it's pretty pathetic. But let's keep going because there's so much here.
Yeah.
There's so much here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So when Democrats come to the floor this week again to pass the assault weapons ban and other gun safety legislation, I urge my Republican colleagues to stand with us, stand with the American people, stand against the gun lobby, stand against gun violence.
The evil, dreaded gun lobby. Not the gun control lobby. That doesn't exist. No. It's not that, Tim. It's the gun lobby.
Yeah.
And the NRA.
Matter of fact, I just recently looked at a chart. I think I shared it with you, talking about how much money is spent by various lobbies in D.C. And guess was so insignificant it didn't even make the list. The gun lobby. And that's all of them. That's the NRA, the GOA, SAF, JAFO, National Association of Gun Rights, all of them combined, FPC, all of them combined. All of them combined, maybe $8 million.
Oh,
two from the NRA, 2.6 from GOA, right? But then you take a look at the real peddlers of influence in DC, and it's pharmaceutical companies and realtors and things like that. So the gun lobby buying politicians is another false narrative. There just isn't that much money going into DC from the gun lobby.
It's a bunch of manipulated crap.
It is.
And what we've done so far, that was the first segment, because we want to show you what he was saying and kind of throw some color behind all the things the lies that he was basically spewing, to be honest. But we're going to dive into another segment now where we're going to not only show you what they're saying, how they're going to do it, the fact that they just got fact checked on Twitter as incorrect and lies, and then we're going to hit on the actual specific ways that they're trying to do this. So right now is a clear distinction point. We got to dive into this. So I think we should start off, Tim, because this isn't really a goofy gun grabbers segment. This is more like just goofy Chuck Schumer, as you said, right?
Right. Well, this is the goofy gun grabber in charge, right? This guy. This whole segment's about a goofy gun grabber, that being Chucky Schumer.
Right. So this is number 4. This is what he put out last night triumphantly. This week, I will put out an assault weapons ban on the Senate floor. After I led the passage of the Brady bill and the assault weapons ban 30 years ago, America saw a decrease in mass shootings and gun deaths. We must stand with the American people against the gun lobby. Okay, well, let's go to number 5. Fast forward very quick. Look, he got fact-checked. He got fact-checked, Tim. That's so odd.
And they linked to factcheck.org, which if you follow that link, it tells you that, nothing conclusive came of that 10 years of assault weapons ban.
Yeah, that's actually what it says right there. I mean, it says the claim is misleading. No, not the leader in the Senate on the Democrat side around gun control. They would never mislead. That would just be manipulation of rights in order to manipulate you into capitulation. They would. Oh God, they have. Anyway, so this claim is misleading, Tim. The 1994 assault weapons ban final report concluded that gun crimes involving assault weapons declined. However, that decline was offset through at least the late 1990s by a steady or rising use of other guns. Well, no, that's interesting, Tim.
Handguns?
That's interesting.
Handguns?
Yeah, because he said the word. These mean things. They fit in your hand, and they are terrifying. Because after all, if you were to look at all of the violence that happens in the United States using guns, you'd find that a lot of it is not rifles.
Oh, matter of fact,
I think we're about to go into that.
Let's take a look at number 7, Doc. If you could bring that up for us. This is a response to Chucky Schumer on Twitter. All right. So using the FBI table of murder weapons, please identify the assault weapon. He's challenging Chucky to identify the assault weapon. Then identify the non-assault weapons. Thank you. And then he posts a chart from the FBI. And this is something we often cite here on Second Legacy. And if you take a look at the top firearm category for firearms used in violent crime, look at that. 41.3.
Oh my gosh.
4% are handguns. But they'll never talk about
30% are unknown. Weird.
And that could be anything. That could be muzzle loaders and things that just they couldn't classify. And
well, I mean, we know it's not ARs because there would be nothing left.
Right, because we have a category for rifles. Obviously. And if you go all the way down to number 6, rifles. And look what rifles of all types, folks. This isn't of the assault type. This is rifles of all types. 22 squirrel rifles and all the stuff that gets used most of the time is not even of the assault type. But all rifles combined, 2.8% of the guns total used in violent crime in the United States. This is what they're focusing on, folks. This tells you that it has nothing to do with safety or crime. It has to do with control. Because why are they focusing on the 2.8% of the firearms when the 41% at the top seems to be the real problem? If you think guns are the problem, which they aren't. Oh,
Tim, I have a supposition.
Okay,
I have an idea. Bear with me on this. I'm gonna stumble through the dark here. So I'm like Blinken in Prince of Thieves or Men in Tights. So if they knew that handguns were the thing that they were saying was the problem to take ARs, that would mean naturally you'd go for the problem unless. Oh my goodness, Tim, I think I found it. Unless you realize that 70% of even Democrats say you can't ban handguns. Right. No, it wouldn't be about that, would it?
Yeah. I mean, we have this local politician, Bob Cotton, who's rabidly anti-gun, would just blow up his Facebook page with anti-gun posts. And guess who came into Copper Custom and bought a handgun?
No. Mr. Cotton.
Yes. And when questioned on this fact, he just said, well, I didn't say I was completely against all guns. That's what you've been saying up until now. Hypocrite. So this is how it's just like that California representative that was rabidly anti-gun and goes to prison for selling guns to gang members. I mean, this is the left, the hypocrisy of the left. This has nothing to do with safety or reducing crime or any of that. This has a bigger narrative. This has a bigger agenda, and that is subjugation of the people and taking away your power to resist their tyranny. That's why they're going after the assault rifles and not the handguns or the criminals.
You know, I think this would be an amazing time for Gavin Newsom to make an appearance. What do you think?
That's true, because it's true.
I love that clip so much.
I know.
In fact, you put something in here, Tim, that I think is an excellent addition to this point. Number 6 with the actual Excel spreadsheet where they've got everything listed out year by year. Yep. You were actually here for this. Take the wheel on this one because this is interesting.
Yeah. So what you're looking at here, folks, is a breakdown of the estimated modern sporting rifles in the United States. Now, modern sporting rifle, MSR, is code for AR-15 or rifles like the AR-15. It was a term that the gun industry came up to counter assault weapons. Okay, came up with to counter that narrative. And so you can see from 1990 to 2007, this chart covers. You can see the number of rifles out there, and the rifles are calling MSRs. And if you go down to the bottom, this is the interesting part. So during the period of the assault weapons ban that Chucky is touting, it goes from 1994 to 2004. Now take a look at the chart at the bottom. Okay, leading up to 1994, we see modern sporting rifles being purchased at a crazy rate. It peaks because they probably know the ban's coming, and then it kind of tanks immediately the sales tank right after 1994 through 1996. Then they start upticking again right in the middle of the assault weapons ban.
That's
but
weird.
how's that possible?
There's a ban though.
Right.
But there's a ban.
Because you'd expect to plummet if they banned assault weapons, but did they really? And this is an argument I have with the anti-gunners all the time. There was no ban. There's a cosmetic ban, but there's no ban on firearms. And
that's so weird.
And so it plummets. Then all of a sudden, the manufacturers start making some changes to the cosmetics, and then sales take off again, right in the middle of the ban of guns that aren't supposed to be sold. And so it continues all the way through 2004. You just see it climb. It peaks at 2004. After the ban sunsets, it kind of peters out, and then it just starts spiking once again all the way to current times 2023. It continues to be even more aggressive in its upward trend, the number of firearms being sold. So what this shows you is the flat out lie that Chucky is perpetrating here. He's trying to tell you that there's an assault weapons ban in 94 to 2004. No, there wasn't. There was a cosmetics ban. You couldn't have a flash hider, couldn't have a bayonet lug. You couldn't have a pistol grip, had to have a thumb hole stock. The function of the gun was identical to the guns that you would associate with being an assault weapon. And just to that end, I do have a graphic somewhere. Let me throw this one up. This graphic,
number 9.
Yeah, which shows you the types of firearms that were available through 1994 to 2004. So if you take a look, we'll just start off on the right-hand side because this is the highest one on the list. M15A2 H-bar. What does that look like? Looks like an AR-15A2 to me. Can you tell that that is a banned weapon because it's for sale? It just is featureless. Instead of a flash hider, it has a muzzle brake. Right? It is the same rifle. And just go down the list on the right-hand side. There's an AR-15 with a scope, and it just has nothing on the end of the barrel. It's a stainless steel match barrel. But there's its pistol grip and all that stuff. Has a bipod, a flippy thing that kind of goes back and forth, not quite up, so I guess it was allowed. And then you go down, you have the Thunder Ranch rifle. You have the DR-200, which is the Daewoo Korean military rifle. You have the AR-10. You get the idea. All these rifles in this graphic were available from 1994 to 2004. There was no ban. And that's why you see them talking about what we talked about the other day, where they're saying, well, the manufacturers got around the ban last time. So
the Go Safe Act.
Yeah,
right?
So the Go Safe Act. So we have to go after, the business end of the firearm, not the muzzle. Right. That's typically historically been the business end. No, now the business end is the magazine.
Now the business end of the magazine. Well, I can tell you're telling the truth here, Tim, because these are pictures of this thing called paper we used to use.
Right. Yeah. This is a picture of paper weird. From the 90s because
they actually used to take like pulp from trees and like squish it flat and we'd write things on it. It's an archaic thing. It was cool.
Right. You were there for that too, so don't even look at me with
I was
crazy look.
Listen, just because you were there for a suffrage movement doesn't mean you have to be mean about me and paper. All right.
I know. I was a baby when George Washington crossed the Potomac, but anyway. So anyway,
that's okay. Hey, little fun fact: that graph that you just referenced with the multicolors on the bar when it started in 1990, I was 4. I just want to throw that out there.
So you're part of the problem, is what you're saying?
I was part of the I'm part of the new generation of the problem. But you know what? Speaking of problems, because I'm all about solutions, Tim. Let's talk about for a second, real quick, what actually has to happen in the likelihood here, right? Because he said something interesting about unanimous consent, right? So let me get into unanimous consent because the Senate is all this huge body, all about rules, all about these special things, all about these if this, then that. I mean, it's a thing. But basically, he said something called unanimous consent, and then there's the filibuster, and then there's cloture, and then there's votes. Let me just walk you through this real quick. How does the Senate get around the filibuster now? Because that's the thing. The filibuster is the thing that holds them in place, right? Senators have 2 options when they seek to vote on a measure or motion. Most often, the majority leader or another senator seeks unanimous consent, asking if any of the 100 senators objects to ending debate and moving to a vote. Okay, so right there, that means you have to have 100% unification on not debating and moving to a vote. That's how you get around the filibuster. So instead of jumping to 60 votes, you have to jump to 100.
Yeah.
Is that, Tim, this is a basic question. Is 100 more or less than 60?
It's more. But
I'm pretty sure it's more.
There's 100 in here we can cite. There's 100% chance that isn't going to go anywhere.
100% not
100% chance at least one Republican's going to protest.
Exactly. And if that, so obviously that's going to happen, but let me continue. If no objection is heard, which is not going to happen, the Senate proceeds to a vote. That's where they take advantage of their Senate majority of 52-48. If the majority leader can't secure the consent of all 100 senators, 100% chance he cannot. The leader typically files a cloture motion, which then requires 60 votes to adopt. So look at that.
Going from 100
We're
to a 60.
back at filibuster.
Yep.
So they're trying to do something here which seems a little impossible. Why would they do that? Why would they make this big show if it's this hard?
It's 100% impossible. And the whole reason they're doing this is for optics. They're trying to show their constituents that they're doing something. They're doing something. And so, and keep in mind, folks, nothing has passed the House, right? This is the Senate acting on its own.
This is just the Senate.
Right.
Yeah.
And it has a snowball's chance in the Senate under the current rules. So unless Chucky blows up the filibuster, which will backfire on him, which is probably why he's hesitant.
Oh, badly.
So
not an election year.
Yeah. So
no way.
Really, this is a whole bunch of hoopla for nothing. And so this isn't something to be overly concerned about at the moment. Things can change. We'll keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on. But as it currently stands, this is just a political move. This is just so he can say, look what the obstructionist Republicans did. They didn't want to take away 2.8% of the firearms out there.
And it's going to be it's going to be a loud fight too. Like they're going to sell this one. This one is going to be, this kind of goes back to something earlier that I said. Typically, they're not going to put a thing on the floor to take an L unless they do it on purpose.
Right.
And they know that they're taking an L. And that's politics. This entire thing smells horribly bad of politics. So you would have to Tim's point, you'd have to pass through the Senate. You have to get over the filibuster. You'd have to have not one of the Republicans say, no, I'm not cool with voting. I mean, that's pretty hard, pretty high task.
Yep.
And then after that, it has to go to the House, and the Speaker of the House, who is very 2A, has to put it on the floor, and then Republicans at the House has to do it. I mean, like
snowball's chance.
The road here, the road here is so arduous that you got to ask why they're doing it, and going into an election year, and also what they're putting into the bill, AWB, universal background checks, Ethan's Law, all these things are huge pitfall tiger trap fights anyway. Why would you do it all at one time? Because you're looking to say the Republicans don't want to do this. Vote for us in the future so we can get more power because Republicans are evil.
Yep. It's all about making the Republicans look bad in an election year as best they can.
Yeah.
And that's all this is.
It's using the bully
It
pulpit.
goes nowhere. And so, but I mean, there's one thing that will come of this. He'll increase sales of firearms once again. He'll just put more guns out there. I mean, that's what these clowns do.
Yep.
Obama was the greatest gun salesman of the 20th century. 21st century.
Biden's pushing him.
Well, yeah, Biden's trying, but he's not nearly as effective. Biden can barely figure out where he is every morning. So
it's very true.
I don't think he can really keep track of what agenda he has.
That's true, but we know the gun one's a good one. He's there for that one.
What agendas his aides have? I don't think he has an agenda other than not pooping himself.
Facts.
But that's a completely different discussion.
Facts.
Folks, thanks for watching Second Legacy. We'll talk to you guys soon.